Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I'm back with another Rimworld Lore video, and this is going to be focused on a slightly more obscure topic that people tend to generally not notice or simply glance over. I'm going to list the majority of known and named planets within the Rimworld universe, along with a few details about them. And if you're wondering where these named planets are mentioned to begin with, they can be found on a variety of places, starting from flavor texts and descriptions like the mention of the planet Sorn from the Insectoids or Sophia Munda from the Shattered Empire, to some being actually hidden within game files, possibly either as cut content or to be used in the future, while others being featured in unique pawn backstories. Unique pawn backstories are, as the name suggests, backstories and professions that belong to a single unique pawn. While pawns in Rimworld are essentially randomly generated, there was a point in time where it was available for anyone to buy a special access to the game, which will grant the buyer the right to add in Rimworld a pawn with a unique name and backstory. This feature was discontinued, with the only available similar option now being the name in-game DLC, which allows people to feature a name of their choice in the game. Unique pawns with backstories though are still available. They are usually awarded to people who contributed to the Rimworld community in a significant way, such as mod developers or content creators. In regards to the places featured within game files, if you're curious, you can find them in the following path. Go to your Rimworld installation folder, then follow on Rimworld, Data, Ideology, Devs, MISC, Place Devs, and there you will find a file called Places, which contains a variety of named planets, locations, and descriptions of their citizens. To the date of this video, there are currently 301 of unique pawns, and quite a few of their backstories feature unique locations and planets. Also, if you haven't yet, I will highly recommend checking out my video on planet types first, as those planet types will come up quite frequently in this video, and they are going to be very important for context. With this being said, let's begin. The first planet is going to be Carthago. While the name itself doesn't mean anything, it could be a reference to the ancient city of Carthage in North Africa. Carthago is a death world planet which, even if similarly named, is different from a dead world. While dead worlds are uninhabitable planets that cannot sustain life, death worlds are capable of sustaining life but feature extremely hostile and deadly environments. The next planet is Ticonderoga. It's unknown what its planet type is. The only information we have regarding Ticonderoga is that it's the planet of origin of Jonathan Craig, a unique pawn that was raised by his tribal mother within the mountains of Ticonderoga, learning the skills of tracking, shooting, cooking, trapping, and healing, basically the essential skills of any wild survivalist. While we could assume based on this backstory that Ticonderoga will be a planet inhabited by tribal colonies, it is also mentioned that Craig made use of a bolt-action rifle inherited by his late father to practice shooting. Not just that, but in his adulthood, John decided to leave Ticonderoga, becoming a space hunter, so it's safe to assume that Ticonderoga was, at the very least, not a completely tribal world and featured colonies or cities technologically advanced enough to achieve space traveling. The following planet is Caltes Fourth, a glitter world planet featured in Metis Saros' backstory. According to Metis' backstory, Caltes Fourth features an elite training school where Metis became adept in the skills of social manipulation, leaving the academy several years before graduating and later on becoming part of an assassin guild located on the planet of Sati Fifth, racing to the guild rank of Deathjack. Aracena Sixth is a feudal world featured in the backstory of Vidor Pinhao. Erythere, an in-world planet commonly used as a trading hub, is featured in William Gregory Heap's backstory. Born and raised on a junk world, William, along with a few friends, managed to salvage and repair a spaceship and use it to reach Erythere, where later on William will find a job as a tinkering engineer, learning the arts of negotiation and selling refurbished weapons and tools for a profit. Rural Panthy is a planet featured in Ben Tannen's backstory. In his adulthood, Ben will become a spice miner on Rural Panthy, a planet featuring a mining colony. Speaking of industry, another planet renowned for it is New China, an Indworld featured in Yutong Li's backstory. There are not many details regarding New China, but given the name of the planet and Yutong's own name, we can assume that New China will be fairly similar to today's China, perhaps more industrious and futuristic. Speaking of futuristic, there is nothing that spells out space future more than the name of Star Empire. The Star Empire is a faction mentioned in Sam Vissa's backstory, residing within MNT, the Glitterworld capital of the Star Empire. Born and raised on MNT, Sam will lead a happy childhood, deciding to later on join the Star Academy and become an ace fighter pilot, waging war in 3 separate campaigns. Sam will eventually lose a battle. With no option left other than entering an escape pod, he would find himself stranded on a Rimworld. Similar to Earth in the present, Calderia is a mid-world featured in Russell Shackelford's backstory, a planet featuring large forests, illegal races, and massive canopies. And while Calderia was similar to Earth in our present, within Rimworld universe, Earth is nothing but a ruin world, known across galaxy for the point of origin where every life form initially evolved from. Earth has now been presumably abandoned, either due to the planet becoming not fit to sustain life anymore or following its presumable destruction during a war. Euterpe is an our world that used to host people awakening from long periods of cryptosleep, featuring an Ordo Historia archive as well. Not much else is known about Euterpe, unfortunately. Sorn I have talked about in my previous video regarding the lore of the insectoids. It's the planet where insectoids originate from. Itak is also a planet that I featured in another video. It's a cold prison planet where the Itaki xenohumans originate from. It features large prisons and small sparse colonies, which are often attacked by the prison's guards and wardens. Sophia Munda is a planet which you've probably heard of by now, a techno-feudal glitter world and also the planet of origin of the Shattered Empire. In the game it's implied that a great calamity managed to tear apart the Sophian society, forcing the Empire's fleets to disperse across the galaxy on various rimworlds, with each fleet being supervised by a Stellarch that will report directly to the Emperor. Ubanian is a planet predominated by massive jungles, with villages built on top of trees, with the native Ubayan leading a more primitive lifestyle among hunters, shaman fishers and goat herders. They're often attacked by tree harvesters looking to exploit the jungles of Ubanian. Kalis is a medieval world featuring large deserts. Natives to Kalis mainly work as lizard skinners, water gatherers and oasis seekers. Natives to Kalis are under the threat of attacks by local sand warriors using sand arrows and cactus clubs as weapons. Ilwaba is a ruin world, now populated by locals living in skyscraper villages, highway trade posts and houses of regrowth, but not without risk, as its population is under risk of attack by crypto leaders and crypto soldiers, which I'm going to make a bold assumption and say that the name probably doesn't refer to Bitcoin holders, rather it refers to ancients awakened from crypto sleep. Native Ilwabans live and work as artifact hunters, artifact restorers, crate farmers, path makers and tunnel walkers. Following next is Bokokaro, a cavernous shell world with surface tunnels, fungus caverns, drip wells and speech halls. You're probably wondering what a shell world is, and while I couldn't find a clear answer to that within the Rimworld lore, it is possible that the term refers to a type of planet featuring various layers enclosing each other, supported by pillars or other megastructures. I think this definition makes sense, and it's further supported by the fact that native Bochin work as miners, fungus growers and surface scavengers, suggesting that the world does indeed feature diverse layers. Just like in the previously mentioned worlds, this one is not without its enemies, and the local population is under the threat of abyssal marines. Nukadus is a volcano world with basalt islands and various thermal fortresses, and the natives work as lava snail farmers, tank tread repairers and airborne scouts while being threatened by attacks of lava lords and Stygian soldiers. The lava snail farming info sounds definitely interesting, as I think that a volcanic biome and lava snails are something that I will definitely want to see featured in a future update. Zooterra is a grassy dino world, inhabited not just by dinosaurs, but also featuring native tribes called Zotins that live and work as dino riders, muffalo herders, hunters, and tough leather makers. For these natives, the current threat are the Tusk Kings leading tusk warriors to attack them, while the weapons of choice on Zotera are mainly hunt bomb arrows and bamboo staves. Following next is Wavia, an oceanic world abundant with floating villages, seaweed refineries, and trading atolls. Wavia also features a special animal that seems to be native to the planet called the Wavian Leviathan, which, due to its name and the planet being essentially a large ocean, we can assume to be a large aquatic creature. This definitely doesn't seem like a fun place for people with thalassophobia. Once again, this planet is not without its problems, as the natives are under the threat of a whaler marine. This planet is reminiscent of a movie I've seen once as a kid named Waterworld from 1995. If you haven't seen this movie, then imagine Mad Max, but the action takes place on the ocean rather than on a desert. Bagua 5 is not a type of fish, rather it's the name of another planet, a trash world inhabited by scavengers, traders, scrappers, junk lords, and metalheads, with various rainwater processing plants used to convert rainwater to a drinkable status, as its presence on a trash world would easily pollute it. Bagua 5 also features various spaceports, indicating that either trash is still being deposited on the planet, or that various traders come in to sell or exchange supplies for restored technology or salvaged weaponry. Rydell is a technologically advanced forest moon, featuring converted dropships, shielded encampments, communication centers, and armor habitats. While the natives work mainly as botanists, hunters, and biolab engineers, they seem to be in a conflict with Deep Corp executives and their Deep Corp enforcers. Not going to lie, this sounds like if Cyberpunk 2077 took place in a whimsical forest of elves. A weird but genuinely interesting combination. Following next is Iwamura. Not really a planet, Iwamura is an inhabited asteroid featuring various capsules for markets, space piers, and docking stations. The residents are mainly composed of merchants, life support engineers, zero-gravity athletes, and radio hosts. It's unspecified what, but Iwamura must have rubbed some rich guys the wrong way, as it's currently under attack by a group of rent-a-cops hired by the CEOs of some mega corporations. We could speculate and assume that Iwamura, despite its location, works just a little bit too well as a trading post, possibly cutting off the profits for some mega corporations to the point of causing those corporations to attack Iwamura a few times through the deployment of EMP strikes to life support systems, aerosolized toxins, and life support sabotage viruses. Nova Roma I have already talked about briefly and mainly in a speculative way in my Highmates video, but it's the planetoid where the Highmates we encounter in Rimworld originate from, not the entire xenotype, but that specific one, as it's been suggested that they come under various forms and aspects, but the ones with blue, purple, and white skin that we encounter are specific to the fashion standards of Nova Roma. So we can assume that most, or at the very least a part of the population, will look fairly similar. Mainly focused on bureaucracy, Nova Roma features large cities and it's currently in a conflict with the undertroops of some high underlords, which for a city focused on bureaucracy, if you ask me, burning it to the ground seems like the only sensible choice. Seriously, bureaucracy is the worst thing ever invented. Filson is a rural farm world mainly inhabited by farmers living in towns featuring various fertilizer processing plants and mega granaries. While you wouldn't expect a farm world to have any sort of beef with anyone, because let's be real, who will want to wage war against eggplant farmers, they are surprisingly in a conflict against a militia group hired by various territorial landowners of the planet. Kratikon, a high-tech death world, possibly a former Herb world, now destroyed by the past deployment of various nuclear missiles, orbital bombardments, chemical bombs, and various hacked mechanoids. Now, native Kratikonians live within bunkers, caves, and ice shelters, working as water recycler repairers, algae farmers, shuttle pilots, and militia commanders while fighting off mercenary groups. Camia is a hazardous, war-torn planet characterized by its slums, underground colonies, and a mix of lore houses. The local population includes street sweepers, cleanup engineers, protein farmers, taxi drivers, and weapons builders. The planet is governed by poison lords and their venom soldiers, who occasionally launch attacks on the inhabitants. Residents carry gas bombs and toxic flamethrowers for protection. the use of nuclear dirty bombs, bioengineered plagues, and penetrating toxic bombs is not uncommon. Rogia is a glirotech world characterized by its advanced medical institutes, towering space elevators, robotic factories, and a bustling planetary capital. Native Rogians work in various high-tech and cultural roles, including Starforce cadets, artisan farmers, social media prodigies, zero-G athletes, and glitter tech smugglers. The society faces challenges from corrupt bureaucrats and their bionic guards, who sometimes oppress the inhabitants. The world has also seen the use of antimatter warheads, weaponized computer viruses, and remote control mechanoid workers, making it a place of both high technology and significant danger. Zenides is an exploited mineral planet characterized by extensive strip mines, ore refineries, nutrient-paced cafeterias, and oxygen depots. The native Zenidians are typically employed in roles such as miners, supervisors, technicians, mechanics, and life support engineers. The planet is controlled by Mine Corp bosses and their Mine Corp troops, which may have been using EMP strikes to target the miners' life support system. Latuni is often seen as a rainforest paradise, renowned for its luxurious augmentation clinics, hyper yachts, zero-G stadia, and impressive space elevator complexes. The locals, known as Lantuni, have diverse roles, including tourist guides, zero-G performers, Luciferium distributors, virtual celebrities, and shuttle pilots. This idyllic setting, however, is not without its dangers. Entertainment moguls and their enforcers occasionally clash with the residents. There are a few more named locations which I intentionally omitted from this video, since I couldn't find any information regarding them, nor in the wiki or in the game files beyond their name, and I thought that just listing a bunch of names without having anything to add about those names will bring little to no value to this video, serving only as filler. With this being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Which one of these locations you like the most? Let me know down in the comments, and if you want to support my channel, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content in the future. I have also recently started streaming from time to time, so hop on whenever to have a chat. Have a good night and see you in the next video.